Seb's joining us in 2 minutes. We are live. Good evening, Cheeseheads. I've decamped from the man cave because it's got a party for hire in there tomorrow. So I'm actually in the business of renting it out now to non-Tottenham fans. So that'll be interesting. And I've decamped to the study in the caller's house. I'm joined tonight, as ever, by a very serious-looking HG. How are you?
Happy, unhappy. Today has been a roller coaster of emotions, but obviously, like, I'm healthy, I'm fine. But when football's involved and the countries that I love and the club that I love, it's been an up and down day, all things considered.
Well, we're going to try and cover as much of it tonight and hopefully bring some catharsis to the people watching that are a bit all over the place about Spurs right now. And hopefully Seb will be joining us as well. I can see he has just entered the lobby. So let's bring Seb in. Let's have a three-way. Oh, I want to add you to the stream. There he is.
There he is.
Hopefully he should be coming in now. Hello, Seb, you all right?
I'm good. I've changed teams. I've had it. I've had enough.
Who was that?
Anderlecht.
Okay. Does Spurs really upset you that much? We'll get on to that in a minute. We'll get on to it in a minute. Apart from that, you had a good day? Everything good?
Yeah, not bad. It was all right up until about 5 o'clock when the shit stream started of crap news. You just get me on here to rant, don't you?
No, what it is, right? I think what happens is sometimes you get your head round. Okay, so when Fonseca was the word go, everyone, including you, I'm sure, was up in arms and going, "Oh my God, what are we playing at? This is a Mickey Mouse club, etc., etc., etc." Then all of a sudden, now everyone's disappointed that we think we can do better than Fonseca and appoint Gattuso by the sounds of it. But that's the thrust of what the club has done today. But we're going to break it down. Don't worry, you're going to have plenty of opportunity to rant, and we're going to get through some viewer questions. So if you're watching tonight for the first time, please do subscribe. If you're not watching for the first time, or you're watching first time, hammer the like button as many times as you can, please. And do absolutely get your comments down there, get your super chats in, and we will try and get through them. Obviously, if you do select a super chat, you've got much more chance of your comment getting read out. So, Seb, let's go to you first. Breaking news story. Where were you when Fonseca was dismissed basically from a job he never had?
Well, it came through to me on the WhatsApp group that a few of us have, with a certain Leon Isaacs literally losing his mind on the chat. But look, it doesn't matter. This is the thing. You can either get really irate about it, or you can surmise that I tried to say in the last video chat that we did, which was, it doesn't matter. Levy doesn't pay the big bucks. You've got a group of players that aren't really going to listen to the manager in the long term, whoever that manager is, and you've got a chairman who's not going to back his manager. So who does it really matter that it is? Because it doesn't. They're just a puppet. They're just a puppet. It's that Brian Connolly thing, isn't it? It's a puppet. It doesn't really matter who the face is if the players don't care and the chairman doesn't care.
Have you gone full Levy out this evening?
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yes, I am. I am Levy out, because
are you going to get the banner out?
But there's no because that's fruitless task, isn't it? It's a moot point. It doesn't matter. He's in charge, and unfortunately, no one can sack him. But I tell you something: if that was Coca-Cola or HSBC that was running a business like that, he would be sacked.
Why?
That is being.
Why? Hang on. Why would he be sacked, HG? No, let's rewind. We'll come back to you, Seb. We'll come back to you. Let you simmer. Let you just simmer for a few minutes. HG, people didn't want Fonseca. They've got their wish. What's the problem?
Well, the problem is what we've gone to instead. That's basically it. Like, I think if we'd gone back to Conte from Fonseca, people would be like, okay, this is still a bit of a joke. but they'd be happy about what was going on because I think most people think Conte is a better manager than Fonseca. The fact that it's going to be Gattuso has people up in arms, and not just because of the football person that he is. Also, some of the things that he said outside the game that have got people up in arms. So, I think Spurs fans think, okay, just when we've got ourselves used to the idea of Paulo Fonseca, we start the game again, and who knows where it will go from here. Maybe we'll have to do it again in 4 or 5 days. We all thought that Pochettino was going to be appointed, and then Conte was available, and thought, okay, we're going to have Conte, and then he doesn't want it for whatever reason, but Fonseca is around, so Fonseca looks like he's going to be the choice, and we're dealing with this. It's almost like you're being invited to a wedding, but you have no idea who your best friend is going to marry, and you just have to be there anyway. I am, you want to be happy, but you can't. And I feel like Seb, I found out at the same time as everyone else, maybe a bit later, but you're just dumbfounded. You can't believe that someone, with the acumen that he apparently has, is going to do this so publicly. It's bad enough to spend 4 or 5 weeks, even longer now, looking for a manager, but to think that it's not even been a month since the season finished, right? I mean, and it feels like it's been 3 months because of all the crap we've gone through. It's awful.
Go on then, Seb. So you didn't want Fonseca at all. Well, now you're calling for Levy's head when he's not giving you Fonseca. Justify yourself.
It's got nothing to do with Fonseca.
Answer this question. Has it got anything to do with Daniel Levy, or is this more about Paratici?
But Levy is in charge. Look, HG
not a footballing matters now. No, he's not.
Before the Paratici appointment, before all of that, when we got towards the end of the season, HG said, and I completely agreed with him, if we get to June without a manager, there's a problem. Yep. Okay. Now, what are we? June I've lost count. 17th?
17th, I think, yeah.
I would say there's a good chance that we get to well within the 3rd to 4th week of June without a manager. There is no plan. There was no plan when Mourinho was fired. Okay. And look, we all wanted Mourinho to go, but there was no plan. I can't believe there's a plan in place as to who we're going to sign. I can't believe there's a plan in place a serious plan in place as to who we're going to get low. We are doing everything on the fly. We are a huge business, a multi-billion pound business. Take the football out of it. We are a business, and it's an embarrassment. You wouldn't invest in the business as it is at the moment.
We're a limited company, so you can't. But
that it's just embarrassing. If you're a player that's being, one of your options is to go to Spurs, not in a million years. Not in a million years. If you've got other options on the table, if you've got I would hasten to say, I hate to say it, if you've got an Aston Villa on the table or a Spurs, if you've got a Leicester or a Spurs, they are a better bet right now because they are better run, they have a plan and they implement it. Leicester are days away from signing Patson Daka, who would be an ideal fit. We've spoken about him many times. Leicester know their player, know the market value, go out, identify the player and buy him. It is that simple. It is not rocket science. And we are falling and failing at every hurdle. We're an embarrassment. We are a worldwide embarrassment. I think Harry Kane's sitting there today preparing for a massive game tomorrow and he's pleased with what he sees. Don't make me laugh, honestly.
Doesn't matter if he's just an employee, isn't he?
Oh, come on, caller. Get off the devil's advocate fence, mate. That is ridiculous. You protect, even if he is an employee, you protect your employees, and he's a huge asset. He's not an employee, he's an asset.
What I'd say is we're going from fast to fast at the speed of sound. I can't quite believe that we're now looking at Gattuso.
Who finished? But let's be fair to Gattuso. He did finish above Fonseca in the Italian league last season. So
True.
you could say it's an improvement, but none of us really think it is. I think most of us are just upset at how this is being done. I mean, that is it. Like there is no plan. We are literally going like if someone else became available tomorrow, who
we
Paratici
do for them.
and that's not how you do any kind of decision making. You make the
agree.
decision and you go with it. Now, look, obviously, we are still maybe a few weeks away from really needing a manager, but let's just do it now. There's no reason to wait. There's no we've got so many decisions that need to be made this year. You've got players that have been told a few days ago that they might need to find a new club, or we want them to find a new club. And what if the new manager wants them? I mean, it's absolutely mental, and we have to witness it. Like, I don't really know how other fans are seeing this, and they must be thinking, well, this is just typical Tottenham. But
I don't think they care that much, to be honest.
No, but like this is not just typical Tottenham. This is ridiculous Tottenham. This is the Tottenham that everyone thinks we are, but we haven't really been for a very long time, and it feels so bad because it hasn't been like this for such a long time. That the idea of when we went 10 months and then appointed Santini and then only to give up with him like 13 games later, that was ridiculous. But at the time, it felt normal for Spurs. Now it's been such a long time since we did that. This just like for anyone who's younger than 25, they must be thinking, "What? This is not the Spurs I know." But for us, it's very much the Spurs that we know.
So
I had a conversation with a friend. Sorry to interrupt. A conversation with a friend, right? And when Conte was being mentioned, right, I was stupid enough to say to him, well, apparently I've heard that Levy is, he realises kind of the error of his ways and we're going to go big and he's going to do that. And he messaged me today with a link to the Gattuso story and the words,
LOL.
Big, you're going big. I mean, come on. And Paratici, he's had one thing to do. He's top of the list, top number one job. Get it right. First week of your job, and whether Gattuso was his first choice originally, and that's who he wanted when he was at Juventus, and all these stories that have come out, he's made us look stupid in week one. Bang! First opportunity to impress your employees or impress the fans, and he's fucked it up. Joke, absolute joke.
Breaking news! If you've just tuned in, Seb is now Levy out. So firmly, I'm expecting a few placards in the background in the coming weeks. And he's still gone that far. He's switched allegiances with a shirt tonight to Anderlecht. If you are watching for the first time, do please give us a like and subscribe. We're talking about all things Tottenham and all things other management search. HG, my question for you is: Paratici the right man for the job if you think Gattuso is the correct fit for Tottenham Hotspur?
I don't think he knows what Tottenham Hotspur is. Let's be honest. He obviously may know the name. He was a footballer himself, so he knows who we are. But the type of club that we are, he almost certainly doesn't know. The type of fans and expectation, he probably doesn't know. It does make you wonder, why he's suddenly such good friends with Levy, because Levy seems willing to back him on almost everything now. But none of us know. That's the funny thing. Like, I'd never heard of him. There are lots of sporting directors around European football that I have heard of, but this guy seems to be the second in command for half of his time at Juventus before taking over, and clearly they're letting him go. So you've got all those nervous feelings of like, if he was that good, would they really be letting him go? We've all talked ourselves into Fonseca because we've learned more about him, but I don't think people are going to do that with Gattuso. So, if the club were really looking at how the reaction was going to be before deciding something, then Gattuso is already dead in the water, because there are so many fans, and I mean the younger ones especially, who feel that everything that he's said and everything that he stands for outside the game would be enough for them to decide that they're going to take time away from Spurs. Whether you agree with that opinion or not is a different thing, but I think that's how people will react. And it's embarrassing. Like, my friends are emailing me or messaging me to find out what is going on with Spurs, and I'm almost like, well, this is Spurs. This is what we all grew up watching, and
Deep
I don't want
down,
to go
we
back
know
there.
this is our happy place. Yeah, this is
No,
our
no.
comfort zone. Absolutely, it is. It's the Tottenham Hotspur comfort zone. We spent
No.
so many years being a joke, and we're working our way back towards it. There, for my two penneth, I ain't got a clue what it's like. Levy's abdicated all responsibility for footballing matters. Jogged off to Barbados or something, and left Paratici in charge, and he's just chasing people like girls in the playground. You top trump him, so actually you're my cup of tea. I mean, if Gattuso was in the picture a week ago, why did it only come out today?
Yeah, I don't believe any of that. I don't believe any of that. Like Gattuso, he was Fiorentina manager until yesterday. Yes, there were rumours that he was going to fall out, but the question is, why did he fall out? Is it to do with the targets apparently, or is it to do with that his head's been turned by Spurs? I imagine that he would rather be Spurs manager than Fiorentina manager. But again, to us, it's not really about what he wants. It's about who we are and what we want. And as a fan, I understand that our job is only to support. But there are some things that you will draw the line at. Very few people look at Gattuso's record and think that is exactly what Spurs need. They just don't. I mean, I think it's that simple. So
good reason.
I am almost hoping that in 3 or 4 days, when teams start getting knocked out of the Euros, Levy's going to look at them and think, oh yeah, that Finnish manager, he got a really good win over Denmark, and that would still be a worse decision. But what's to say that he's not going to do that? No, it is. None of us know what's happening, and it is embarrassing.
Scott Kittredge says, "What's going on?" I'd like to know, Scott. I'd like to know. If you know, let us know. Go on, Seb. What were you going to say?
Well, there's the George Mendes issue as well, which is
he's got his oars all over this, hasn't he?
Yeah, and obviously, I think he helped suggest players with Mourinho. You get the Doherty deal over the line, so he's definitely bending a few people's ears. And if it's a case of Gattuso being at Fiorentina, apparently identifying targets that the Fiorentina through Mendes that the Fiorentina board said no to, and actually Mendes is able to say, "Well, do you know what? We could get you these targets, and I could get you in at Tottenham. Get you in at Tottenham. You sign the players that I'm recommending to you. We all make a pretty penny." Football is a corrupt business at the moment. There's no doubt about that.
And Man City won the league. Say no more than that, really. Yeah,
it's been run by the money men, and Mendes is instrumental in that 100%. That there's the issue. The other issue with Gattuso, there's multiple issues, but his record is not good. And I'm not just talking. I'm not just talking about what he does on a pitch. I'm talking about the way that he leaves clubs, the way that he reacts to chairmen and owners. It's worse than bad. Walking out on clubs, resigning, then being asked to coming back for a few games, then resigning again. This is not the type of man that we want in charge of our club. He's a firebrand. And he will
alienate. You'd all want Potter. I said you'd all want Potter, and now you all want Potter, Seb. Come on, yeah.
But the thing is, if you give me a choice between
take Potter over Gattuso,
I would take Potter over Gattuso 100%. But if we'd have got Potter in 6 weeks ago, then we'd all be in a far better place and less embarrassed to be a Tottenham fan than we are now. It's embarrassing. We haven't, as HG said, we haven't been in this position. We came out of this. We were better than this.
It's worse now that we're like this when we have the money that we do, when we have the club that we do.
In the stadium.
Completely scrambling is what we were used to in the 90s and especially in the early 2000s. That's what Spurs fans got used to. But now we shouldn't be. We are a top 10 club. We don't act like it. We act like the crazy neighbor who just is trying to copy what everyone else is doing, but doesn't know how.
Yeah.
And that's what Spurs are like. We've said this over a while. I think a lot of people have, myself included, we bought into the whole Levy is this intelligent guy, and clearly he is in many ways, but he doesn't know football. And so, every decision he makes, you have to wonder if he thinks Paratici knows football, then there's a good chance that Paratici doesn't know football because Levy doesn't. It's like asking me something about quantum physics and expecting me to know the answer because I'm a teacher. Well, teachers are smart people, but I don't teach quantum physics. So asking me to find someone who does would be ridiculous. You just don't trust that. You don't trust the expertise involved. So it's worrying because I don't want to question those decisions. So I don't want to be looking for ridiculous answers that somehow, okay, well, that makes a bit of sense in my brain, so that's got to be the truth, because none of this makes sense. Absolutely none of it makes any sense whatsoever.
I'm still waiting for the first super chat to come through on YouTube. So do look at that. If you're watching tonight, please do subscribe and hit the like button as much as you can. I'm going to get through a few caller comments, a few watcher comments. My neighbour, bring back Joe Jordan for a Gattuso rematch, was one of my particular favourites. I love that. Didn't he threaten to take his teeth out or something when he squared up to him? Love that. Stuart Such, bring back Gross. Lucas is bemoaning Austria. We will get to some Euros at the end. There's just too much to talk about at the moment. It should be like a nice little quiet spell right now, isn't it? We're going through, having the Euros, enjoying a bit of feast of football and all the rest of it. Instead, we're talking about who the goddamn manager is. It's ridiculous. Lucas, Gattuso already knows the Spurs motto, though. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit, mostly at the bottom. Phil Ambrose, Gattuso is a terrible manager and a worse human. There are no redeeming qualities to his. He is legitimately one of, if not the worst possible appointment we could make for the club where it is right now. I think we spent a lot of time researching Fonseca and had maybe marginally changed our opinion on him. Quite a lot, actually, in some cases. I think you don't need to research Gattuso. It will be an unmitigated disaster. We all know that. Nelly says middle of the road stuff, no players lined up, and a catastrophe of managerial crap. Where is the actual strategy? So mediocre, it makes you cry. To be honest with you, Nelly, I don't think it's even mediocre. You don't even see teams like Brighton and Hove Albion behaving like this. Wolves don't behave like this, have they? They've parted ways with Nuno, brought a new person in, minimal fuss, minimal. You just want a strategy. You just want some sense of direction, don't you, guys? Honestly, Seb, go.
What I was going to say was I think Fulham will be looking for a new manager soon. I think Parker is going to go to Bournemouth. Now, if I read that Fulham were going to hire Gattuso, I think that's not bad. I can understand that. A guy who's got Serie A experience and he's not done that badly, I guess, for a Fulham. For a Fulham, a championship Fulham. That's where I go, okay, maybe. We reckon that we're one of the top six. We reckon we're elite. Not elite in this country, that we are elite in Europe. We are one of the elite super clubs. Now, ask yourself if any of those elite super clubs, ask yourself if any team, and I excluded maybe some of the Eastern European clubs, but any team in the Champions League next season would hire Gattuso as their manager. Any of them. And the answer is a resounding no. So what are we doing? What are we doing? It must be some joke. Di Marzio.
Well, Fiorentina hired Gattuso as a manager.
They're not an elite club. They're not Champions League. Yeah, but he's got Milan history. It's a little bit different. And he was hired. He was hired as an emergency, wasn't he? When Seedorf was fired because they literally couldn't get anyone else mid-season. So it's embarrassing. And I honestly, Di Marzio, Romano, maybe they've just got all their facts wrong. Maybe they've seen a name and got it wrong. We can only hope, because it would be. I've said many a time, get behind the new manager. I wasn't a fan when AVB was brought in. I didn't like that appointment at all. I hold my hands up when Pochettino was brought in. I didn't quite understand it. I thought it was the Emperor's new clothes. I was proven wrong, thankfully. But this, let's all get behind the new manager, I am going to really struggle with. I really struggle with it.
Well, you get behind Spurs, not the manager necessarily, are you?
You want to lump everything together. You want to get behind the players, the manager, the club. You want to have faith that they are doing their best by you. It's important. It's a two-way thing. There has to be a payoff. You don't just go blindly to games and pay your Sky subscriptions and all the other things. There has to be some payback. And I can't see it. I can't see what we're getting back.
Well, we haven't kicked the ball yet, Seb, so let's give it a go. Nicholas Spencer, we've gone from an underwhelming manager to an even more underwhelming lunatic manager. It's just
he's going to side tackle Guardiola in the first game.
He's going to square up to so many people. Refs are going to have a field day.
If anyone's watching, I'd like someone to message in and tell us what we're missing. There must be something, some redeeming feature, something that we don't see.
Absolutely.
And that maybe the wider community don't see. So if guys, you are that person that you
then
think...
Then write your comment in. Get it in there now. Get it in there now. I mean, get it in there. And if you really want to explain it further, get your phone out and I'll have you on. You can come and join us in the little box on the screen and we'll talk about it. Mike's channel. When you're sure something is up with someone's choice, but you reluctantly give them benefit of the doubt, then they don't take that choice away. They go on to make an even worse choice. I totally hear it.
At some point, we're going to end up with someone even worse. Like, give it about 4 more weeks, and Sol Campbell will be standing there in N17, ready to prove all the racists wrong.
Where it's leading to, isn't it?
I mean,
with Arteta as his assistant.
What is the bottom of the barrel? Right, I mean, we're clearly not at the smallest barrel just yet.
Well, apparently, according to a lot of people the other week, HG, the bottom of the barrels was Parker and Potter. You'd take either of them in a heartbeat right now, wouldn't you?
I'd certainly take Potter. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all about the coaching. Like we've had a manager for the last 18 months who didn't care about really getting that relationship with the players. It was a case of the players will do what I tell them, and if they don't play. Well, it's changed since then. So it needs to be a players manager, and you can sit here and say, well, maybe Gattuso can do that because he was a very good player for a number of years. So he might be able to kind of link and understand the modern psyche, but also there's no evidence that he can do that. I'm trying to convince myself that he can because of his history. But there are plenty of players.
That's what I'll tell you right now.
There are plenty of players that have had really good careers that have zero brain cells. They were just really good at football. There's a reason why David Beckham isn't a manager, right?
He's an owner.
He wouldn't. Well, he's an owner, yeah, but
he's the Daniel Levy of Miami.
I'd like to think he's a bit more intelligent than that, but it's a bit harsh on Beckham. But it's just. Yeah, I don't understand it. I'm genuinely sitting here thinking, how did we get here? Right? Sacking Mourinho made sense, and yet right now it seems, how can that be the best decision we've made? We should be making better decisions after that, not worse ones.
When I rewind that in my head, when we sacked Mourinho, I think everyone was a bit like, yeah, okay, that's good, makes sense. Cup final timing, bit strange. But do you know what? We're just happy to get rid of Mourinho. And I was wrong on Mourinho, first to admit that, right? But what I expected in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, he must have a plan. He must have a really good plan because, look at last time. He had Poch out the door. He had Mourinho within the next 12 hours or something. So I was literally waiting for the appointment. Oh, and when it was deferred to the end of the season, I was like, okay, maybe they're just taking a bit of time to identify some target. Now it's literally scattergun approach, just trying to find someone that will take the job. But then when you find that person and actually wasn't too bad a match, you then go, oh, but he's available. Maybe we'll have him instead. And it is just, honestly, it's just beyond belief. It's amateur. It's ridiculous. There are sole traders earning, we're behaving like something off Only Fools and Horses, like Del Boy. We are the trotters. Absolutely.
It honestly, Daniel Levy talking about football reminds me of David Brent talking about classical music, right? Beethoven's good. It's the only one he's heard of, so I'm going to go for him. I'm going to say that he's the best one. That's why he picked Mourinho. Mourinho and Guardiola were pretty much the only 2 managers that he'd ever really thought were any good. And whatever Liverpool were doing was obviously, probably Man City were having a bad year. Like, I genuinely don't know what he understands about football. He says himself he doesn't get it. He wasn't a massive fan growing up. This has always been an investment,
Well, he
and I
said
get
that 20 years ago, to be fair.
Yeah, but what? There's no evidence that it's changed.
No.
I mean, I'm a firm believer that guys, like we might increase our knowledge on things, but as we get older, the things that we enjoy are pretty much the same things that we enjoyed when we were 5 or 6. If you gave me a plate of sausages, mashed potato, and baked beans, and you stuck the sausages in as if it was like antenna, I would happily eat it. And I'm 42, right? That would be an amazing dinner for me. Like, that hasn't changed since then. Yes, I like other things now, like Brussels sprouts, but again, like, that's how we work. We don't change.
Potato and sausages, surely.
Yeah, but that's what we're going to. It's almost like, oh yeah, we're now ordering smash. Like, other fake potatoes are available, but it's just madness. He has no idea what he's doing, and yeah, we have to watch it. I mean, like, this is it. It's car crash TV. It's absolutely car crash TV, and there is nothing we can do to stop it.
I try to avoid football when it comes to managers, but because you never really know. But my God, Gattuso really does seem such a dreadful choice. I believe that they would be that stupid. Elena, only Spurs could make me gutted about not appointing a manager that I didn't even want in the first place. AJ Post well said, Seb, don't say that. Don't.
Like that.
Why would Potter even contemplate us? If I was offered a new job and learned that they tried to hire 6 people before me and came as the last result, I'd tell them where to stick it.
Yeah.
Depends what the money's like, to be honest. For
Well,
me.
this is another point that I was going to make. Well, I know I kind of said at the start, which is I'm not sure it really matters much as because if you pay your players enough, generally you will keep them. There's rumours that Son is going to sign a new deal. Now, the only reason he's going to sign a new deal is because he's getting paid enough. Right, because if you would
settled, probably there's probably a couple of things.
Yeah, there's probably a few things like that. But in terms of wanting to win things, in terms of being successful, in terms of having a career where you look back at your medals, he's not doing it for that. Now he's
got the ultimate medal.
Go on.
You've got him out of military service.
Yeah,
but I mean,
okay.
but that's what you're going to. That's all there is. It's a kind of silly, pithy statements, but that don't mean anything, because that's the only thing that that anyone who supports Levy right now can defend. And I know you're not supporting him, caller. Like, I understand that's not who you are. I was about
to say, don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm not supporting him whatsoever. Yeah. I think this is a farce, but I do think a lot of this is brought on by Paratici, which is interesting.
We had half our squad, at least half our squad, underperform and not show up last season, right? For whoever was for Mourinho, and we still finished 7th. Right now, we don't like 7th, and it was a crap season, and some of the football was appalling, right? But my point is, if you're Levy, when the people will be desperate to go to that stadium next year. We haven't been there for 18 months, 2 years, or whatever. The stadium will still be full. The shirts will still be bought. We can have a pretty crap season, and we can still get some form of European football, and the books will balance. And it doesn't actually really matter which poor bastard is in charge of the shit show, because the results will be the same unless you go and hire a Conte or a Pochettino, which we're not going to do.
Oh, hang on, Pochettino. Hang on, you said it yourself. You didn't want Pochettino hired in the first place.
Yeah, but no, that was 7 years ago, mate.
So
I'm not saying now. Now Pochettino is an elite level manager. So if we're not going to hire them, and we're not, then it doesn't matter, because half the squad will play for the new man for a few weeks. Half of them won't like it straight away. Your Dele Alli will get moody. Your Harry Winks, he's getting annoyed that he's not getting picked, even though every time he does get picked, he's shit. Go on ad infinitum. It doesn't matter. We'll still finish top half, hopefully 6th or 7th, no better than that. And move on and repeat. Repeat and repeat. Levy spending no money, trying to get some bargains. Bargain might prove good, like a Modric. Bargain might prove crap, like an NG. And we'll just go on and on and on and on. That's it. When Levy is in
every
charge.
club does look for bargains, don't they? That's
Yeah, but they also identify talent, mate.
Yeah, I totally
done.
agree, mate. Totally agree. HG, what you trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, listening to you guys, there's so many things going on in my mind, but yeah, I don't really remember right now. Let's just move on to something else, because I mean, really, like we've had this conversation for 35 minutes now, and none of us really know anything. It's just frustration at the situation, and that comes back to Levy. It has to come back to Levy. He is in charge of this clown car, and so we're basically as unstable a club as Gattuso is a manager. So maybe it's a perfect fit, like idiots together. No, I don't want to see that from Spurs. I want to see a plan. I want to see that we are working towards something, anything that makes sense. But right now, like if I'm a Spurs player, the better ones, I'm looking at the direction of the club. Like Kane won't be allowed to leave in the summer. That's it. He's too
pretty
important.
much said that as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, no, but he's too important to go. But every other big player that we might have, that we might think has a future at Spurs, that we might think could become part of the next good Spurs team. If I'm Dombele, I'm looking at this and thinking, I want out, and the club might allow that. If I'm Lo Celso, I'm thinking I want out, and the club might allow that. Kane and Son are the two that the club might say, no, we can't allow that. But they're the only two. We are at risk of alienating our better players because the people in charge can't do shit.
Well, look, it's good to chat about it. So if you're watching for the first time, do subscribe. Do hit the like button, and we will carry on talking about it because I think we need to get things out in the open. What I would say is this is an interesting one. If Paratici is responsible for this and thinks that Gattuso is suitable for us, then we need to sack him now, pay him up. It's not going to work.
Maybe we could get rid of Paratici quicker than Gattuso was at Fiorentina.
That would be a start.
Paratici hasn't even started at Spurs yet.
I know, yeah.
So it would be like Gattuso. It would be exactly like, I don't know. Go on, keep going. Tell us Joel's comment.
I'd like to get through a few comments without interruption. That'd be lovely. Gattuso will tell the team not to take the knee, slap a female ref and spit in the crowd, and I won't be surprised. Hashtag no to Gattuso. Although it sounds almost entertaining. It doesn't. I'm being jokey. I'm jokey, obviously. I haven't had that much fun since Cantona, jumped in a crowd. Danny Markin, how long was Gattuso in his last job? 3 weeks. Yeah, quite likely. I was a moth flown in or just flown out of my wallet, one or the other. Greg Anderson, how can anyone look at Gattuso's managerial record and think he's the man for the rebuild? He barely lasts more than 12 months. Ali Kemp, Paratici treating our club like an experiment. Chris Barry, the missus is a Wolves fan, might join her. Don't bother, mate, because they're also run by Mendes.
Find a wife who supports a better team is the solution there. Like, never be a Wolves fan. There's no reason for that.
I mean, my dad's a Wolves fan. I'm seeing it the weekend, so by all means, I will pass that on. Phil Ambrose, in all seriousness, we need to rally the Supporters Trust to protest this. Look at his comments in the past. The club's integrity, we've got loads of that, is in question here. This is arguably as bad as the ESL. Is that a bit dramatic, Seb?
No, I don't think so. Look, we're living in a different generation now where comments come back to bite you on the ass. And once you say something and it's in print,
is that you trying to tell me I shouldn't have just said that that'd be entertaining?
No, but he's said and done a lot worse. There is, I think, certainly sexist comments. I think there's racist comments. It just doesn't appear to be a very nice man, and we had first-hand experience of it against, with Joe Jordan.
Oh yeah, Big Joe.
It's before I even knew about the fact that he might be linked to Spurs. I knew a little bit about him. I think he's got a Scottish wife, hasn't he? From when his time at Rangers, and yeah, he was a cracking player. He was kind of, I guess, what Højbjerg would want to be. Get to that level. But he's not a very nice man. There's no getting away from that. And he's tempestuous, and he throws his toys out of the pram. And we are apparently starting on a new project. That's what Levy has said. That's what Levy put in his program notes. We are back to where we were when we hired Pochettino for the 5 years that he was there, and we're looking to do it again. Well, he's not your man. I tell you that now. He's not your man. Even if it goes well, he won't be there for more than 18 months. He's egotistical. He's megalomaniac. I just go on, HG.
Speaking of egotistical, I'm going to put this comment up. Thank you, AJ. I completely agree. To be fair, I don't think he's finished it. I think it was like HG for coach driver. Possibly that would be the role that he has in mind for me. But AJ, if you didn't mean coach driver and you meant something else, please continue listening. There's lots more like that.
I mean, I worry about that, given you take public transport all the time. Basically, you wouldn't have to drive a flipping coach.
I don't have a license. I have no idea how to drive anything.
Brilliant.
So if I'm like that, then I am perfect to be the coach driver of the new Tottenham bus. We don't know where we're going. We don't know how to do it, but we're going to end up there anyway. Join me on this journey. I mean, it's just crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I'd rather Eddie Howe than Gattuso. Poor Eddie Howe's done something really wrong in a previous life for everyone to dislike him so much. Levy's waiting for Lowe to be available in the next few days. He's your public enemy number one, isn't he, HG? You don't like him at all, do you?
The guy with the comment is a personal friend of mine. He knows what he's writing. Yeah, like Joachim Löw is awful. Like, he is absolutely awful. He did nothing as a manager at the club level. Obviously, was part of Klinsmann's side when they went into Germany together. Then he won the World Cup with Germany, despite him. Let's be fair, it was the Bayern team and the Dortmund team that ended up working together to win that World Cup. But Joachim Löw basically is known for sticking his hands down his trousers. I don't want to go back there. That's David Pleat type of stuff. No thanks.
Sticking his hands down his trousers?
Yes.
Yeah, Joachim Löw, Yeah, or like he sniffs his own balls. He puts his hand down his trousers, and then you catch him on camera going, "It's like no, like I'm sorry, what?" It's just Joachim Löw would be a terrible. It would be a terrible choice. Like Klinsmann would be a terrible choice, but I'd rather Klinsmann than Löw. That's how bad Löw is.
Ball sniffer.
Sounds like a bad '90s song. Like, what is Löw? Baby, don't hurt me.
Death in the spotlight. Farcical is the best way to describe Levy's running in the club. The sheep will still back him and say, "Oh, look where we finished in the '90s." Definitely you, not me.
Roughly where we finished in the '90s is where we'll finish this season with Gattuso.
See, I don't really agree with that. I think everyone's very knee jerky. I mean, it wouldn't be like you to be knee jerky at all, Seb.
Yep.
So all I would say is, I don't think the world is ending. We haven't appointed him yet. We need to.
No. To be fair, to go back to my last point,
these are rumours.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We've got this squad to finish. It's far different than it was in the '90s. It's less competitive. So with our squad, we will finish certainly top half. Kind of, you or I could do it, I think, and we'd finish top half. So because we saw it last season, the players were so uncoached. I mean, there was we talked about it ad infinitum on YouTubes, on pods, whatever. There was no plan. It was literally those players were going out trying to remember what they'd learned under Pochettino, certainly in attack, to try and win a game. So it doesn't matter really. I mean, but that's not the idea of running a football club, is it?
Yeah, I mean, we have to be fair to Gattuso a little bit. Like the Napoli team he managed last year, was it fifth they finished? It was only on the final day that they fell out of the Champions League places, which again fits the Spurs model from 10, 13 years ago when Yol was in charge. I genuinely think it's more of him as a person that has put people off. Again, he's not the manager for a rebuild, which is what we're trying to do. He's not a project manager, so he doesn't fit there either. But you've got this idea that if he can't do A and he can't do B, then why is he even being considered? We are not Juventus. We don't have the the kind of the ability to attract players that they do. They cherry pick the best players in the Italian league. They were able to give the job to Andrea Pirlo, and they still got into I think they got the Champions League. So like Juventus are a far bigger club than Spurs are when it comes to attracting those players. Gattuso is not going to help us attract the players we need. In fact, any player who signs for Spurs is almost banking on the fact that this won't work out, and we'll have a new manager that maybe will like me. They'd only be coming to Spurs for the money.
Well, Gattuso would scare the shit out of them, to be honest.
Yeah, he would. I mean, I've no doubt he would. But it's more than that. Exactly. Like I don't want to work for a shouter. I mean, like Gattuso as a player, we all know how good he was. But you have to be able to get your points across. I did read an article today. I think it was Çalhanoğlu who played for him at Milan. Said that as a man manager, Gattuso is pretty good. Like he's always talking to you to try and make you a better player. Like those quotes will come out again and again over the next day or two as people try to get over the idea that Gattuso is going to be the manager. Exactly. And it doesn't need to be that way. Like we could have had a manager that maybe none of us wanted, but we could have had a manager 2 or 3 days ago. It could have happened a week ago. It could have happened whenever. We are not going to find a manager that everyone is going to be in love with. That will not exist. But it's just getting worse and worse with every turn we take.
Well, this is true. 70 people watching. Get the likes up. Yeah, get the likes up. Hit the like button, god damn it, and try this super chat feature. I want to know if it works. Bottom of the barrel, Rain of Bliss. Bottom of the barrel solution, Klinsmann. Would you take Klinsmann right now, Seb? Come on. You know, surely that's a better option.
I think they're on a level. Yeah. Do you know what? I'm worn out. Good.
I tell you what we need to do. Well, let's go to Transfermarkt and look up Jorge Mendes' clients, and like we're going to end up with Nuno. At this rate, we will end up with Nuno because he's a Mendes guy, just like Gattuso is. And I suspect Spurs fans will kind of decide, well, yeah, maybe Nuno isn't so bad after all. When none of us want him, we don't want Nuno at the club, but we want him more than Gattuso, and that's not enough of a reason. But the Mendes thing doesn't seem to be going away. So let's look at the players that he's got. Let's look at the managers that he's got in his stable, which I don't think it's as many as you think it will be, because that might be where we're going. It's just crazy. Like I don't want us to be run like Wolves are, or like these clubs that do have such close links to one particular agent. Even when we do, it's not the best one. It's the guy who was the best 10 years ago. Come on now, Spurs. Just do something else, please.
Ian Holloway will have found his way into the fray by this time tomorrow, yeah. This is quite likely. Who likes Brussels sprouts? They like the Gattuso vegetables.
No, Nick, you poor Australian man. Brussels sprouts are incredible. You just have to know how to cook them. And, well, yeah, you don't stick them on the barbie, Nick, so that's probably why you're struggling.
You can barbecue anything, trust me. I'd rather keep Mason in charge than allowing Tony Montana and Scarface manage the team. Well, if I'm honest, I thought that was a bit like Conte. Conte is like the talented version of Gattuso, isn't he? I think he's, they're both a similar ilk, like in your face, like drum and bass, shouty lunatics. But one can back it up with titles. Bungle B says Levy is drawing this fake manager search out to the last to save money, and then he'll make way for Potter or Parker. I think most of us are that worn down. We'd take anyone right now.
Yeah, I mean, AJ wants me. So maybe that is the bottom of the barrel. I don't know. But yeah, it's there's nothing good to say about this. That's the worst part. There is no logic to any of it. We are basically fish in a barrel. And we've got like a toothpick. No,
absolutely. Gattuso is a serial killer in his pastime, quite possibly. Matthew Hookie, hi Matt. Levy is making our club a joke. What do you mean making our club a joke? It's already a joke, isn't it? The way this is.
Look, we remember those days when the club was a joke, right? We're old enough to remember it. But there are plenty of Spurs fans now who don't. They don't remember how bad we used to be. And I guess they're now seeing it in 3D. Yeah, this is what Spurs used to be like. The whole lads, it's Tottenham wasn't just about the players and how weak they were. It was about the club and the fact that it had no direction, that we could be great one day and awful the next. I want to be great a lot. I want us to get back to where we are, and we can't do that when the person who's making the decisions has no idea. I mean, they don't have any idea. Pochettino was second choice, was a bit of a, okay, well, we'll take him, right? I mean, I don't think Spurs fans would look at that Southampton team and think, okay, yeah, they did okay, but none of us thought that Southampton team were really pulling up any trees. We can't even get a manager like that anymore.
3 words for low.
What's that comment?
What
is that comment?
I think that's that's funny. That's what it is. Yeah.
Danny Rose will be Googling Kingston antifungal cream as we speak, finding out what it is. But yeah, Joachim Löw, really. Like, I'd be surprised if he got a job in club football. He's that bad. He really is that bad.
Well, there you go. Ollie says Paratici to Spurs, us like Mourinho to Spurs. He's like Mourinho Spurs. Been successful everywhere else. Legacy already written. Time at Spurs will not be remembered, so he doesn't need to succeed. Well,
it's a fair
who
point.
knows?
That's a fair point. I understand that point. I think it's a fair point.
Hungrily, I guess this is kind of like this is maybe a positive. We asked for a positive. So ashamed the Spurs players for selling out Porch, as he's now known, and Joe say that Gattuso coming in could give them just what they need, a battering.
How long does that last for, though? That's my point. You do it once or twice at the start, and okay, it might rile a few players up. 2 weeks, 3 weeks down the line, it stops working. And players like Dele Alli, I can tell you that now, he'd probably just get laughed at. He'd probably laugh in his face. Just give him a smirk and walk off and think, well, that's it. I'm never playing for you. I can't be asked to put the effort in.
Yeah, Dele's another one. If you were a Spurs player looking at this, you'd think, I want out. You would do. Anyone in their right mind would be thinking, I want out of this shit show. It is a clown car, and we're just bouncing from soft wall to soft wall. It's just mad.
So Gattuso's win percentage is pretty similar to Poch in his last couple of jobs, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, but the win percentage doesn't mean much, right? Because we all know Tim Sherwood had a great win percentage. The idea is it's how you do the job. Everyone looks at Gattuso. Gattuso came in at Napoli for Ancelotti, and they did okay. Let's be fair. He's done all right at Napoli, but this is not what we need. If you're going to if you have short-term managers, then they need to be successful short-term managers. And successful, it might be better finishing fifth for Spurs, but we want to have a project guy. I think a lot of Spurs fans do. They want to have someone that they can believe in, someone that they understand, someone that they can appreciate. They don't just want some bloke who's here for a payday.
I think on my run sheet I wrote for me just Christ, what's next? Was pretty much my only comment for today.
Well, what's next for Chris Barry is he becomes a Wolves fan. So let's hope he doesn't go that far. But yeah,
let's talk about what is next. Oh, Seb's just dropped off. Maybe he's had enough or his battery's died. What are we thinking then, HG? What is next for Spurs? Do you think this is going to happen? What?
Look, I thought Fonseca was going to happen. I thought Conte was going to happen. I'm not putting any money on it happening because there's a very good chance it won't. We have no idea how low it's going to go. We really have no idea. And so, my hope is that we are still going to identify some decent players and that we can somehow attract them to the club. But I just can't see it right now. Any player with an agent worth anything is going to look at Spurs and think, unless you offer us silly money, we're not going to consider it. If you're an up-and-coming 22 or 23-year-old and you want to play regular football, yesterday or 2 days ago, everyone thought we might have a chance of Locatelli. And then Locatelli goes and scores twice for Italy, and then we do this the following day, and it's no, whatever chance we thought we had is gone. It's absolutely gone. We are going to be looking at Ukraine's best 24-year-old to maybe come to Spurs.
I'm not sure if that's necessarily true. Got to be honest.
Why not? Ukraine are a good side. They play decent football.
I meant that I think we overreact to things a lot, and I think There's stuff that hasn't happened yet. As far as the club have said, the club have never said we're doing a deal with Fonseca. That's what's been rumoured through the press. The club have not appointed Gattuso. None of this stuff has happened. What we know from the club side is it's taken a really, when you strip all the emotion out for a second, which I know is really hard, particularly for you, Seb, when you strip all the emotion back and just look at it through the cold lens, we are exactly where we were a month ago. Manager.
Yeah, but that's not good. That's not good.
Yeah.
It's obviously not a good thing. That's what I was going to say. But we're no different to where we were 4 weeks ago. We're just slightly further in the timeline.
But we are different. That's just it. We are different because our perspective of what is going on has changed. Whether it's true or not is irrelevant. Right? The fact is, Spurs fans and players and anyone else who might be coming to Spurs or is interested in the future of Spurs is looking at it and thinking, this does not look good. And so therefore it's bad. It's worse. Like we looked bad when Mourinho was in charge. We looked bad when we sacked Mourinho clearly to try and take away from the Super League fiasco. That's why he was sacked on the Monday. I have no doubt about that in my mind whatsoever because there's no other reason to do it then. There was no other reason to do it. And he was just trying to deflect attention away from it. That's where we are. It's consistent bad decisions that whether they are true or not is actually irrelevant. We sit here having these videos based on this speculation, but all of us know that deep down the speculation could easily be true. Like they're not making up that we're going to sign Danny Rose on a 6-year contract where none of us know that we all know that that's not going to happen. We look at this and think, crap, he might actually think that Gattuso is a better manager than Fonseca. Or he might actually think that Conte was just too expensive. Like the excuses that are made are believable ones. And like again, if you're a player, that noise, you can't drown it out. You just can't.
What always puzzles me is we did such a good job, or the club did such a good job of keeping it very quiet that Mourinho was incoming, Poch was outgoing. Nobody knew. Nobody had a clue. That was. No one had a clue at that point. Poch was going to be sacked. Alistair Gold had no clue whatsoever. Yeah. Who is the most informed? Let's be fair, the most informed Tottenham Hotspur journalist. Okay, we've gone from that level of secrecy to this level of transparency. Something doesn't add up there.
Like players talk via WhatsApp. Like I mean, we everything could have been done on the phone. Like you don't have to go and meet someone in some clandestine hotel on Lake Como to make these decisions happen. Like I mean, everyone else is doing stuff on Zoom. There's no reason for it to be as open as it is. But the fact that it apparently is a massive issue.
Well, I suppose the question is, where do the leaks keep coming from?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because every club has it. If they didn't, then we wouldn't know anything. You know, Sky or whatever, they know about bids and, you know, we rumoured yesterday Spurs are interested in Lamptey. Well, we don't know where that's come from. It doesn't matter. Half of it's bollocks. But I think with the managerial situation, as HG's been saying, you know, we've rebounded. We're like a bouncing ball, this way, that way, bang, bang, bang. Who is it today? You know, like people have said on the chat, who's it going to be tomorrow? But the problem is that we're not being run like a top level football club. You know, we're really not. We are making ourselves a laughing stock. And look, we can talk about it all night. But the rumours have some credence. You know, we saw Di Marzio on Sky Italia saying that apparently it was for tax purposes that we'd withdrawn from the Fonseca talks. I mean, that's the biggest load of crap I've heard.
Bollocks. Absolute bollocks.
Absolute bollocks. It's just look, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed
by the way,
of
it's
how we're
bollocks that's you know, spread about by one of the most relied on people in terms of football gossip and rumours. So. You mentioned Alistair Gold. Alistair Gold said that I wasn't talking about Alistair. I was talking about Romano.
But, yeah, I know. But you mentioned Alistair Gold earlier as well, and he said his understanding is that as soon as Gattuso became available, we dropped Fonseca like a hot turd and moved on to Gattuso. So, you know, it's just embarrassing. It's just not how you run. It's not how you run a lower league football club, a non-league football club. You know, you do right by people. You do the decent thing all the time, and we're not doing it. And as we've said, the players looking on, just I'd want out. I wouldn't want anything to do with our club because they're 6 weeks before a new season. You wouldn't know what the plan is. Well.
This is the plan, guys. Ryan has come up with a plan.
Sound's gone really bad, MHG.
Oh, sorry, Ryan has come up with a plan. This is the plan. We're going to have Jim White is leaving Sky Sports News to be Spurs' new manager. That's what we're going to have. We're going to see Jim White.
Just check your connection because it's coming through really bad. Yeah. I saw it. Yeah, just announced signed the German TV reporter as the next performance coach. I hope this approach doesn't give Levy ideas. Dean Bernard, is it wrong to think that Martinez looks like a good option now?
No,
Seb.
No, I'm not a Martinez fan, but he's better than Gattuso. Alvaro came out earlier in the week that said he'd absolutely love it if Martinez was his club manager as well as his country manager. It wouldn't be my choice, but he's got better experience at the top level. And my argument would be that do I think clubs of our ilk would look at him, other clubs would look at him? Yeah, I think possibly. I think they would. I think obviously he's been Everton manager. That's where we are now. We have to think Everton, Leicester, Arsenal. That's where I think there's no point thinking like a Man City, Man United, Chelsea. They are completely different level. We're deluding ourselves if we think otherwise. So do you think he could manage at Leicester, Arsenal or Everton? Yes. Therefore, he's probably our level. And that's the issue I have with Gattuso, as I said earlier. I don't think he's a Premier League manager. I know he's had jobs at probably our level in Italy.
Hang on. Napoli?
What do you want me to say? I've said
Milan,
what I said.
Napoli, that's as elite as it gets, isn't it?
No. And he didn't do a great job. What do you want me to say? I'm not going to change my mind because you say two words. You say Napoli, and I'm wrong. No,
I'm challenging that those clubs are bigger than Leicester City.
But like again, if you look at, I don't know what it sounds like, but if you look at Italy,
it's perfect
right?
now. Perfect.
Okay,
now.
all right. Like if you look at Italy, they do give jobs to people that you don't really know. Like, has anyone ever heard of Stefano Pioli when he went to AC Milan? I hadn't, not really. Andrea Pirlo, we'd all heard of him, but not as a manager. He'd had like zero coaching experience. So like
look at Seedorf.
Yeah, Premier League managers should be people that have had experience. It shouldn't be people that just happen to have played. I mean, appointing Gattuso is like us having Carlton Palmer as the new manager, right? I mean, there's no Alan Pardew is coming to Spurs. That's where we are. Like, Gattuso has had big jobs, but it's not enough. It's not enough. And again, that's as him as a coach. I do think that, as I've said before, even tonight, the issue is going to be who he is as a person that will keep Spurs fans away from this. Like, as a coach, I think people will be like, okay, him and Fonseca, there's not a great deal. He's very short term. Fonseca hasn't really been at a team long enough to really be long term either. But I think that for many people, especially those younger than us, that the type of things that he said, it is not just a game changer, it is a deal breaker. Like, he is not a Spurs manager. He is not what they want associated with the team. I think that would be the end of it. At least I hope that is the end of it. I hope that people at Spurs see that and think, actually, no, this is bad PR. We don't need a manager that is going to bring that type of attention to us. We really don't.
Okay, moving to other news, because we have literally talked about how crap Spurs hierarchy are for the last hour, and I think we all know that. Denmark beaten today in the Euros by Belgium 2-1. HG, did you catch any of that game?
I did. I saw the second half. The Martinez effect of bringing on your best player at half time turned the game around. Not that difficult of a skill, really, but De Bruyne was amazing. The assist for the first goal, he made it look simple when it clearly wasn't. We all knew that most players would probably just hit it first time. he took a weird sideways touch, and then suddenly it was an easy goal for, I think it was Torgan Hazard that scored that one. And the goal he scored himself, yeah, the keeper looked bad, but he took it so early. Again, no one thought De Bruyne was going to hit that first time on his weaker left foot, and he did. And it took the keeper by surprise. It was perfectly placed. Belgium, there are some issues about them as a team, but we all know what they can do attacking. Like Lukaku is a world-class striker. De Bruyne is a world-class midfielder. If they can give those two players, I mean, even Eden Hazard, like we know on his day, he's got fantastic feet, can do whatever you want him to do. If they can build, they can give those players the platform they need to really go out there and do something. Belgium are going to be a force, and so. Yeah, I think the best thing about that is that Denmark know pretty much that if they win their final game, which I think is against Russia, if they win that game by 1 or 2, they will almost certainly go through as one of the, maybe even second in the group. It's possible. So like second or third, it's not like Denmark aren't out of it, despite the fact that they've lost their first 2 games. And most fans, not just ones that have connections with Eriksen, I think most fans would like to see Denmark go a little bit further in the tournament because of how the first game unfolded.
Seb, did you see any of Ukraine, North Macedonia? I did see a little bit, actually. I thought, just going back to the Denmark game, I saw quite a bit of that as well. I think it proved to me that, like pretty similar to club football, when you're on top, you need to score the goals that show you're on top. Denmark were on top for a large amount of that game. Actually, for the entirety of the first half, should have scored more than one. And actually, for long periods, particularly towards the end of the second half, I think the stat came up that they'd had 20 shots to Belgium's 6 at one point. So wow. They could and should have done better. They lack an out-and-out goal scorer. I've never been a fan of Poulsen, and they bought on Cornelius, I think. Not an international footballer for me, but they should have done better. And yeah, I saw the Ukraine game. Ukraine are a pretty decent outfit, and just kind of North Macedonia scored at the right time in the second half to bring it back to 2-1, and then tried to give it a go. But actually, Ukraine could have scored a few more. So they're not looking too bad. I know they lost to Holland, but obviously they've scored 4 goals now in their 2 games. Yarmolenko looks like he's always plays well when he pulls on a Ukraine shirt. I think he's only 4 or 5 goals short of Shevchenko's record for that country now. So, they're probably worth keeping an eye on, Ukraine.
Good stuff. I've got to say, I thought North Macedonia's shot that led to the penalty was almost an absolute flipping worldie. Did you see that, Seb?
I don't know if I did, actually. I might have missed that bit.
Going the top, arrowing into the top corner, keeper tips it on, and then the rebound comes back and player gets taken out. It's just that I was amazed there. Actually, North Macedonia actually threatened more, considering I didn't even know where North Macedonia was a week ago. They've surprised me in that game, in that they actually had a couple of good chances.
They are out though, aren't they? I believe.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's it. That's their last dance, I think. And then Netherlands, Austria. So HG, there was a question right at the start of the broadcast.
Yeah, I've got it. I found it. I knew it was coming. So Dutch grass. For tonight, I was rooting for Austria because I think it was a more important game for them. We all know that Holland are most likely going to go and beat North Macedonia. So I mean, it set up the whole Ukraine-Austria game is the final one now. That's going to be a massive game for both those teams. But so tonight I wanted Austria to win. But if you ask me if it ever got to be a final between Netherlands and Austria, then I would be all for the Netherlands. But because Austria is not a football country, it's a skiing country. The football team have got a whole lot better in the 15 years I've lived here. But it is still like the sports stars in Austria are skiers. David Alaba, he went to Germany when he was 16. Like they all. It sounds awful for many people. He's not really Austrian because of the color of his skin over here. Like racism is still a big thing in Austria. But So I think tonight I thought Austria played really well. I think Holland were a decent side. I think the difference came in the fact that Holland have better strikers. That Weghorst and Depay are, very, very good players who play in very good leagues and at the top of their game. And Austria, with Arnautovic injured, they didn't really have anyone in an attacking area to be that massive threat. Holland had obviously De Vrij and De Ligt and Daley Blind at the back. They're experienced players, but the game itself, I thought, was a really good, intense game of football between two sides that wanted to play football the right way. And if Austria had that little bit of extra bit of creativity going forward, they could easily have got the goals they needed. So the Austria-Ukraine game should be a good game too. Weirdly, I feel as if the Austria performance that I saw tonight is one of the best performances I've seen from an Austria side. They were balanced, they were aggressive, they moved the ball well. They weren't able to really get behind the back of that Dutch back three. And if you can't do that, you're left with pot shots. And they didn't really take many of them. The best chance Austria had were in the last 5 minutes. Before that, I don't remember really Stekelenburg having too much to save. But so yeah, tonight I was all about Austria, but I want them both to go through, and I want them both to go as far as possible because, these are my countries. I'm English, obviously first and foremost, but after being in Holland for a number of years and being in Austria for a number of years, I want to see those teams do well. I really do.
Well, there's only one other area of business to cover. 24 hours, less than 24 hours now before England take on the Jocks. It's going to be a cracking game, isn't it? I reckon I've seen the atmosphere. I've seen some videos, courtesy of Leon Isaacs, of some Scottish fans already tearing up London. So that bodes well for tomorrow. It's going to be a cracking game, isn't it? What can we expect? I mean, we've touched it already, actually. So I'll go to Seb. So what can we expect from the Scottish team tomorrow?
Do you want me to be honest?
Yeah.
Not very much, I don't think. I don't think they're very good. Got a few good players.
Sound like my dad.
But your dad's spot on. I'd say there's probably not a single, maybe Robertson. There's one Scottish player who would get into the England team. So there's no excuses for that reason. I think England will win, and I think they'll win convincingly. I don't rate them at all. They've got championship level players mainly. Their best player on against the Czechs, I thought was Hanley. He's a championship level player. If Harry Kane can't get the better of him, then we really are struggling. McTominay's half decent. He's actually come on, I think, a lot this season for Man United. He's not out of place internationally, but our midfield should be able to combat him quite easily. How reliable are your predictions, Seb? That's a fair point. We're running a prediction league within the chat, and I'm not doing great. I'm always swayed by what I want to happen rather than what I think will happen. But I think I don't think they're good. I don't think they offer a lot up top. Che Adams and Lyndon Dykes. Look, that's nothing to be worried about. That is. I hope this doesn't come back to bite me, but that is possibly the weakest attack at the Euros. I'd rather have Pandev or Pukki up front than Lyndon Dykes. So, make of that what you will.
The chat group that Seb refers to is our exclusively for our patrons. So do check that out. The link is in the scrolling ticker at the bottom of the bar for less than the price of a pint a month. Certainly a pint at the Daniel Levy Stadium. You can engage in witty banter and converse with the podcasters, all the people from the podcast, as well giveaways, competitions, and various other things. It's well worth doing. So do check that out. HG predictions for tomorrow.
I predict that England will only have an issue if Scotland don't allow us to play. If England can start playing and putting some moves together, they are good enough to beat this Scotland team. It's very much like the better team will win. So if Scotland put together a team performance, they could easily get a result that they need. But for England, we have to start working as a team. We have to start functioning, because we've seen other teams do it. Like the Dutch side tonight, they played decent football. They were able to pass their way out of trouble. I'm still nervous about England, whether we really do have the quality to do that. We all know that Kane's a great striker, but if we can't get him the ball, then it could easily finish 0-0, 1-0, or something like that. It just takes a second to score that goal. But if England can really work together and get those movements going, then yeah, that Scotland team, even with John McGinn, who's a really good player, a number of them that can play football quite well, we should be able to take advantage. This is the highest level of football, right? Like playing for your country. But playing for your country at the Euros might be more difficult than playing at the World Cup.
Yeah,
I do believe that. So it's obviously the English team is not amazing, but we should have enough for the Scots. We should have enough for Czech Republic, and then from then on, it will be down to us and our levels of performance. But yeah, England just have to be aware that Scotland will try to disrupt us, and we need to be better than that. And if we can do it, we'll win comfortably, like Seb said.
For my money, I think Scotland will throw the haggis and the kitchen sink at us from the word go. I think you're going to see a really combative game in the middle of the park. I think what Scotland will lack in energy. Any time you play Scotland, whether it's rugby, football, even cricket, they will just step up 1,000. This is their cup final. This is like the West Ham versus Tottenham derby. This is absolutely clear underdog, clear superior force. They're going to try and make up for it in terms of, sheer hard work and determination. And like you say, disrupt, foul, niggle, all those kind of things. And England really have got to be on top of their game. So I think this is going to be a stiffer test than the Czechs. I think in all honesty, and maybe even Croatia, because I think although those two sides are obviously better on paper, it is Scotland's cup final. If they won this one match and did nothing at all in the tournament, we would hear about it for the next 20 years. They write songs about shit like that up there. We can't lose to Scotland. England, Harry, do not let us down.
I think with the game being at Wembley, that obviously works in our favour too. If it was at Hampden, then you think the Scottish crowd would get behind them and it would be a more difficult game. But it really is it's how we use the ball, right? We know that Scotland will win. We know it's the biggest game they've had since the last time they played England. As you said, this is the cup final. We have to be ready for it. And I think, to be fair to Southgate, he will pick a side that I think will be ready for it. It might take us a while to get the goal. I mean, we scored against Croatia in the second half, but I think that we will do enough to win. It's not going to be 3-4-0. It's not going to be an absolute mullering, but we should have enough to be able to do what's required. And I guess with the second win, we'd be into the next round as well. So it's I mean, if it's Friday night football and it's like England versus Scotland, it's a great time. It's a great game.
That, does it? Don't get better than that. No. That should cheer us all up, hopefully, and lift the Spurs malaise from our day.
I think it is going to be 3 or 4-0. Sorry to interrupt.
I mean, as I've already covered, Seb, your predictions are worth literally nothing.
What I want to see Harry Kane playing up front. I don't want to see Harry. I want Southgate to say to him, go and get yourself on that on the score sheet. Go and bag yourself a couple. Put yourself in contention for a golden boot. For Christ's sake, stay in and around the penalty area, because you dropping into the centre circle against Scotland, it's not what we need. We need that focal point up front with players running off you further up the pitch, not running off you in the centre circle. I don't want to be saying what I said after the Croatia game, which is, Sterling and Foden, we're in the box, and Harry Kane wasn't even in the half. He was around the halfway line. We don't want that. I want to see Kane further up front. He's the man for tomorrow. He's the man to bag you a couple of goals. I reckon it will be 3 or 4-0.
He's got to turn up this tournament for me, Kane. I know he won the Golden Boot of the World Cup, which not a lot of people can do, but he wasn't convincing at any point. He wasn't convincing, and he does go missing in big games. He's got to do well at this tournament for me.
This is how you get Kane firing. You get Grealish in the team. Yeah. I know what Bungleby is saying here, that Grealish won't play, but if you want Kane to start firing, you need to have someone that can provide him with the bullets. There's no real evidence that Sterling can do that. There's no real evidence that Foden can do that. They are decent players, but that is not their game. Grealish's game is to make the players around him better, and he'll keep the ball, he'll win niggly fouls, he'll do everything that you want from an England player to play against Scotland. If Grealish starts, we will be a much better side. So I hope that Bunglebee is wrong, but I suspect that he's also right, because Southgate doesn't seem to like Grealish at all.
Grealish has to play.
That?
Grealish.
He played Grealish in the warm-up matches. So, and we've only opened with one game. Fairness, it's one game. We're one game in. We'll know if he likes Grealish or not by the end of the group stage.
Yeah, I mean, also the Chelsea, Man United, and Man City players weren't available for those games. So Grealish may have got his minutes. I partly believe that if Grealish does come on at any point and play some significant minutes, that he will prove. Like, if Scotland go 1-0 up at some point tomorrow night and Grealish comes on and changes the game and maybe gets England the win or even a draw, but Grealish was the catalyst for it, we might see him later on in the tournament. But the longer it goes without him, the longer we're not going to see him. And I think that England will stay at the level that they are, which is a functional football team that might eke out a couple of wins, but there's not going to be the creativity that we will need to take advantage in the bigger games. Foden is a great player, but he is not like Grealish. Sterling, I've never really liked, but again, you want someone like Grealish in the team. Without that, you are hoping for a bit of individual magic, and that, football manager or management shouldn't be about hoping; it should be about planning. And Grealish is the one that can do that.
Absolutely right. Well, look, an hour and 20 minutes, gents. We've put the world to rights. Daniel Levy out. We've fully turned Seb. So I expect to see you with a nice background banner or something. ENIC out next time. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Please do give us a like and subscribe. And until next time, HG, goodbye.
Bye. This feels like a going for gold episode, but
it's goodbye from me and it's goodbye from you, Seb.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
And come, it feels fully saying this, but come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!